I don't think they were written on emeralds just because you can't get emeralds that big. It looks really outstanding.
I want to ask about the emerald tablets. It feels like it feels like those things were made from adamantium from Wolverine. Like I don't like those things feel like so embellished by everything I see around them. And maybe it's just because they're called the emerald tablets, and so that's just very alluring. But can you shed some light on that a little bit, or just like help dissipate some of that? Because I feel like I see those things are like from aliens, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
From Atlantis and stuff. Yeah.
Atlantis. What are the emerald tablets in that? As far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I don't think they were written on emeralds just because you can't get emeralds that big. I mean, it would be written real little and no one could read it. I mean, I guess we could write them on emeralds now. We have lasers and stuff. Maybe the aliens did too. Yeah. This is a pretty common trope in ancient literature where people would inscribe things on precious stones of like spectacular size. So another example of this is another piece of Hermetic literature where Hermes Trismegistus tells Tot to inscribe them on a turquoise stela. So the idea of inscribing sacred texts on special tablet, I mean the Moses story, right? He comes down off the mountain with the laws all written on these like stone tablets. This was in the tablets of destiny were a big part of ancient Near Eastern mythology. So the idea of writing things down on stones and precious stones was just a common literary trope. It just meant like write this on something that, you know, adamantium is a great example, right? Write this on something that basically can't get destroyed. And so when we read about the emerald tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, it's just the idea that this document, which the earliest version of it we have is actually in Arabic, and it was probably a translation from either from Syriac or from Greek originally. There's just the idea that it should be inscribed on something that's imperishable. And so the use of emeralds as just a precious stone is just, we have that kind of language with tablets of gold. I mean, often there are these Orphic hymns, which are basically passports to the underworld, and they were written on gold. You would write things on silver. You would write things on lead and throw them into curse tablets written on lead and rolled up. I have one over there, actually. So the idea of writing things on imperishable surfaces was just a common literary trope. And so it's just a function of the literature. And if you've never heard of somebody writing something on a precious stone, it sounds really exotic until you just read more of the actual historical literature and you realize everyone talks like that. Okay. Whether it's turquoise stones or the tablets of Moses in the Bible or the tablets of destiny in ancient Sumeria. It's a really common literary motif. And so it's a literary thing more than it is a physical description of an artifact. I mean, I don't know how big emeralds get. I'm sure there's some pretty big emeralds, but I mean, you're not going to be able to write the entire,
history of something. Yeah.
On an emerald or a piece of turquoise, for that matter. It's a literary thing, and it was a relatively common motif. And like I said, even other Hermetic literature talks about things being written on steles or tablets of turquoise.
Does it seem like you've read, because of all that you've read from so many different cultures, do you have an opinion on where all this comes from? Like, is it just pure mythology? Is it pure, Graham Hancock on Netflix is saying it's ancient aliens?
Or at least ancient civilizations.
Sorry?
Or pre-Diluvian civilizations, I think is what Graham Hancock would say. Yeah, there are other people who would say ancient aliens. I think both are wrong for different reasons, but yeah.
But like you've really seen the source text from so many different things. Like, what is your imprint on that? Like, it's just a guess, because no one knows.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, I think that I don't think they come from aliens. I don't think they come from some antediluvian civilization. The quickest way abuse oneself of believing those sort of things is just to read the literature in its literary context. None of this stuff was written in a vacuum. It was all written within cultures writing other things. And think about something like the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. If you never have read any other piece of political theory and the only thing you've read is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it looks really outstanding.